Hello friends, welcome to another Ask a Bhante. So we have a question here. Actually, this is a couple questions. This has come up a bunch of times, and I don't think I've made a video on it yet, but the answer is really about monastic titles. So Pat is asking, my question is about terms and titles. I know what a bhikkhu is. What is a lama, an ajahn, a Bhante? What is the purpose and meaning of Buddhist names? Are they all Pali or not? Why is that important? Thanks. So, obviously, no, they're not all going to be Pali. And you actually mentioned here at least one title that's outside of, that's not Theravadan, the lama. So this is, there's just a lot of titles, depending on the country. That's really what it is. Depending on the tradition too. So like, for instance, I wanted to, this is probably about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I wanted to kind of understand the differences of the titles in some of the Mahayana. So like, what's the difference between like a lama and a rinpoche? And I'm thinking, well, this person's a lama, but they're a lay person. So it can't be just about monks when it's a lama, right? So what exactly is a lama? I have no idea. What are the qualifications of a lama? No idea. All I know is that it can be a layperson or a monastic. Rinpoche, I believe, as far as I can tell, is only for monastics. So that's as good as I'm going to get for Mahayana. So Bhante means venerable sir. That's the easiest way to translate it. It's basically just like a venerable. It's a respectful way of addressing somebody. Right? The way I usually kind of explain what Bhante is, especially in differentiating it from Bikkhu, is if you're familiar at all with, if you grew up Christian or Catholic or whatever, when priests, you don't say like, hey, priest, you call the priest father, right? And so it's the same thing with monastics. You don't say, hey, Bikkhu or hey, Bhikkhuni, right? You say Bhante or Aya or, whatever the different, Aya is one of those titles that's debated between the Bhikkhunis, whether they like to use that or not. But this is, Aya is an interesting, actually, since I brought up Aya, I might as well go. Aya, depending on Aya and Aya, Aya, males, that would be Lord, Aya, lady, right? So it's kind of like really like a high title in a way. So Aya has kind of been the general term that's kind of developed in the last, I don't know how many years, as the respectful address to bhikkhunis. But again, debated. Some bhikkhunis use different words, different names, things like that. Now, back to Bhante, though. If you read the suttas, especially if you look at the Pali, Bhante is what they call the Buddha. There's only one Bhante back then, or Bhadante, right? That's another way. That's kind of like a more respectful version of Bhante. But when the Buddha was, parinibbana, in Mahaparinibbana Sutta, he says this is what, a person they call venerables Bhantes. So that's what Bhante is. It's just simply, and as far as I'm told, whether Sri Lankan, Thai, Burmese, Laos, whatever, any Theravada Buddhist monk would be okay with Bhante. They all know Bhante. Although, as far as I understand, Sri Lanka, Bhante is normal. And I think Burma, Bhante might be normal. I don't know. I have, unfortunately, not that much contact with Burmese Buddhism. So it's, of all the Theravadins, it's probably the one I know the least about. But, and then, so let's see, what I just want to say, Bhante, Lama, Ajahn. So Ajahn. So Ajahn is the Thai way of saying Acharya. Acharya is the title of a monastic teacher. So when you become ordained, There's the preceptor, the senior monastic who's officiating over the ordination and who's officially ordaining you. Then there's the acharya, right, the teacher. And if you've ever seen an ordination, the preceptor's kind of sitting there, and then there's the senior monks or two senior monks with the person being ordained. At least one of those is the acharya, right? So this is a title. This is, and you can only be an acharya after 10 years. You can only be an acharya when you've been a monk for 10 years. So ajahn is the Thai way of saying acharya. So it means teacher. And this is, if you look at the Sri Lankan and the Thai traditions, you'll see like old Pali words have kind of like found their way into the regular language. Right? So, and now basically in Thailand, just a regular school teacher is an ajahn, right? So this is a very common name. In the Thai tradition, or at least in the Thai forest tradition of Ajahn Chah, which is what I'm most familiar with, ajahn is something that as a title you get when you reach 10 years as a monastic. So if I was in the Thai forest tradition, in 3 years, I would be known as Ajahn Jayasara. But since I'm not Thai forest and I like the suttas anyway, I'm always going to be Bhante. You never have to worry about changing, learning a different title or a different name for me. That's always going to be Bhante. Now, two words that do come from the Pali, from the suttas, from the Vinaya, are when a monastic, bhikkhu or bhikkhuni, right? Bhikkhu is the male monastics, bhikkhuni is female monastics. When a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni becomes 10 years vasa, 10 years reigns, 10 years as a monastic, then they are a Tara for bhikkhus, Teri for bhikkhunis. Maybe you've heard the Tera-gata and the Teri-gata, the verses of the elder bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. Right, so you become an elder. So the title of the type of Buddhism I'm ordained in is what? Theravada. Tera is the elders. Vada is creed or discipline. You could translate Theravada as elders' creed or elders' discipline. So this is a title that, now you don't see this, like in Sri Lanka and Burma, you don't really see, it doesn't seem to be very common that they'll say Tara, hey Tara. No, they don't really talk to you like that. When they say the full title, so for instance, Bhante Gunaratana, my preceptor who ordained me, his title is Bhante Henapola Gunaratana Mahanayaka Tara. So this is a special title. Mahanayaka is like the person who's like the head of their lineage. So Bhante Ji is like the head of all of the Sri Lankan monks in the Americas, or at least in United States of America. Right? So Mahanayaka, that's a special title. You'll see these like in Sri Lanka. You'll see these titles when there's certain times where they give a full title. But mostly it's just Bhante. Or they'll say Humduru. What that means, honestly, I don't know. But oftentimes the Sri Lankans will say that instead of Bhante. I don't remember. I'm sure I learned it like years ago, but I don't remember exactly what it means. But Humduru, you might hear a Sri Lankan person say. See, Burmese, there's Sayadaw. And I believe Sayadaw is kind of on the same level as Ajahn. It's kind of a title that's given, as a senior teacher monastic. But again, that's about as much as I know. What else? I know this is kind of a all over the place video, but I am going off the top of my head, trying to remember all these titles myself. It's so much easier when everybody's just Bhante. It's so much easier. Let's see. My mind is saying I'm missing at least one, but there's nothing left in the questions. Let me give it a couple seconds here. Ah, yes. So now I remember. So when you're 10 years as a monastic, you're a Tara. And 10 years as a monastic is that level where that you're able to be an acharya. So you're able to ordain, right? You're able to train monastics and things like that at 10 years. And then there's a greater title, a Maha title. When you're a monk 20 years, you become a Mahatera. So a great elder. And that's pretty much it. Right? So there's Tara, there's Bhante, Tara, Mahatera. Same thing with Bhikkhunis. You would say Aya, you could say Teri, Maha. So it would be, let me see. I might butcher this, but so I'll think of like Aya Tataloka. So Aya Tataloka Mahateri. Right? So she is, I think, 25 years or something in, or more in robes. So that would be a Mahateri. So, now somebody who's a fairly new Mahatera is Bhante Yuttadhammo. So Bhante Yuttadhammo Mahatera. You could say that. But mostly just saying Bhante in the name, just as a respectful address is good enough. You don't need to add all of the extra qualifiers and all that extra stuff. So, I guess this is, titles are just things that arise. But the Buddha made it so simple. This is why I like going with the Buddha and the suttas. The Buddha's made it so simple. Okay? Junior, call senior Bhante. And senior, call junior by their name. Or for monastics, you say avuso. It means like friend or brother. Right? But as a layperson, as long as you remember Bhante or Aya, or the Bhikkhuni, it's probably best to ask them, or just to see what titles they use. Because the revival is, only 25, 30 years ago, they're still ironing out a lot of things. But nice, simple titles is good enough. All right, friends. Well, that's it for this Ask a Bhante. If you have any, please, put your questions in the comments. I'm going to be probably getting out of the habit of doing Ask a Bhante for the next while because I'm going to be traveling a lot. I'm going to be, in April, I'm going to be totally not doing any streams because I'm going to be, visiting monasteries and things like that. But as long as I can, as long as I have the habit and the energy, I'm going to keep doing these Ask a Bhante. So keep sending the questions. Sukhi Hotu.